In the fast-moving world of Hollywood, most movies eventually show their age. But a select few defy the decades, proving that true quality never goes out of style. From prophetic scripts to breathtaking practical effects, these films feel even more relevant today than the day they premiered. Get ready as we dive into 10 movies that aged like fine wine. Number 10. Jurassic Park 1993.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
We start with a movie that shouldn't look this good. Released over 30 years ago, Jurassic Park remains the gold standard for visual effects. While modern blockbusters often look like cluttered video games, Spielberg's dinosaurs still feel heavy, wet, and dangerous. The reason it has aged so well is the perfect marriage of practical animatronics and early digital effects. Spielberg used CGI for only about 6 minutes of the film, reserving it for wide shots where the dinosaurs had to move quickly. For everything else, the actors were reacting to life-sized robots. Beyond the visuals, the chaos theory philosophy of Jeff Goldblum's character feels more relevant as we enter the age of AI and genetic editing. It's a warning about the lack of humility in the face of nature that hits harder with every passing year. Number 9. The Truman Show.
Good morning!
Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
In 1998, The Truman Show is seen as a clever high-concept satire. Today, it feels like a terrifying documentary. The film follows Truman Burbank, a man whose entire life is a reality show produced for the world to watch. When this was released, reality TV was in its infancy. There was no Instagram, no TikTok, and no influencer culture. Now, we live in a world where millions of people voluntarily turn their lives into The Truman Show. We broadcast our meals, our heartbreaks, and our children to strangers in exchange for likes. Jim Carrey's performance, moving from cheerful ignorance to existential dread, captures the modern feeling of being constantly watched. It predicted the death of privacy long before we gave it up for free. Number 8. Alien, 1979. Ridley Scott's Alien is nearly half a century old, yet it remains the most atmospheric sci-fi horror film ever made. While other 70s sci-fi movies feel like the future as imagined by the past, Alien feels lived in. The ship, the Nostromo, is greasy, dark, and industrial. It's a truckers in space aesthetic that hasn't aged a day. Detailed production design aside, the film's pacing is what makes it a masterpiece. It takes nearly 45 minutes for the horror to truly begin. In today's fast-paced movie landscape, that kind of slow burn tension is rare. It respects the audience's patience. Furthermore, Sigourney Weaver's Ellen Ripley aged into one of the most respected protagonists in history. She wasn't written as a female hero, she was simply the most competent logical person on the ship. That grounded realism is why Alien still terrifies us today. Number 7. Network, 1976.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter.
If you want to see a movie that predicted the modern news cycle with 100% accuracy, watch Network. This 1976 satire follows a news network that discovers anger and outrage are better for ratings than actual reporting. The famous "I'm mad as hell" speech by Howard Beale has become a permanent part of pop culture. But looking at it today, the film is a chilling look at how media corporations weaponize populism for profit. It predicted the rise of infotainment and the way news anchors have become performers rather than journalists. Every time you see a viral clip of a news host shouting at the camera for clicks, you are seeing Network play out in real life. Number 6. RoboCop, 1987. On the surface, RoboCop looks like a loud, violent 80s action flick. But underneath the chrome is a razor-sharp satire of corporate greed and the militarization of the police. Director Paul Verhoeven used a comic book style to hide a very serious message about the privatization of public services. In the film, a corporation literally owns the police force. As we see modern tech giants gaining more influence over government functions today, RoboCop's cynical view of the future feels incredibly prophetic. The practical effects, especially the stop-motion ED-209, give the film a gritty, tactile feel that modern CGI simply cannot replicate. It's a movie that gets smarter the older you get. Number 5. Children of Men.
I can't really remember when I last had any hope. And I certainly can't remember when anyone else did either. Because really, since women stopped being able to have babies, what's left to hope for?
Children of Men is set in a world where humanity has become infertile, and no children have been born for 18 years. While it was a critical darling in 2006, its visual language has aged into something almost hauntingly realistic. Director Alfonso Cuarón used long, unbroken shots to place the viewer directly into the chaos of a collapsing society. The film's depiction of refugee crises, environmental decay, and government surveillance feels like a window into our current world. It doesn't use flashy future tech. Instead, it shows a world that is just slightly more broken than our own. Because it stayed grounded in reality, the film feels more urgent and terrifying with every passing year. Number 4. The Matrix. The green tint, the trench coats, and the flip phones might scream late 90s, but the core philosophy of The Matrix has aged better than almost any other blockbuster. When it was released, the idea of living in a simulated reality was a fun sci-fi concept. Today, with the rise of the metaverse, deepfakes, and advanced AI, the question of what is real is a daily conversation. The action choreography, heavily influenced by Hong Kong cinema, still looks better than most modern superhero fights. The Wachowskis didn't just make an action movie, they made a philosophical text that happened to include bullet time. It remains the definitive wake-up movie for every new generation. Number 3. Parasite.
뭐야, 소독해? 창문 닫아.
나도 봐. 공짜로 집안에 소독도 하고.
While Parasite is the newest movie on this list, it has aged into a classic faster than almost any film in history. This South Korean masterpiece about the class divide between two families, one poor, one wealthy, is a perfect piece of clockwork filmmaking. The reason it feels so timeless is its universal truth. The struggle for space, the scent of poverty, and the desperation to climb the social ladder are themes that resonate in every country on Earth. The film shifts from comedy to thriller to tragedy so seamlessly that it feels like a new experience every time you watch it. It's a movie that perfectly captured the global mood of the 21st century. Number 2. 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Stanley Kubrick's 2001 is often called the ultimate science fiction film, and for good reason. It was made a year before man even stepped foot on the moon, yet its depiction of space travel is still the most realistic ever put on film. Because Kubrick used massive practical sets and front projection techniques, there are no bad effects that give away its age. If you told someone this movie was made in 2024, they might believe you. Beyond the visuals, the HAL 9000 storyline is the definitive take on AI. HAL isn't a killer robot, he is a machine following logic to a lethal conclusion. As we grapple with AI safety today, HAL's calm, soothing voice is more chilling than ever. It is a film that doesn't provide answers, only questions, which is why we are still discussing it nearly 60 years later. Number 1. The Dark Knight. Most superhero movies have a shelf life. They rely on the latest CGI and the current cinematic universe hype. But Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight isn't just a superhero movie, it's a crime epic that happens to have Batman in it. By filming on the streets of Chicago and using real explosions and practical stunts, Nolan created a version of Gotham that feels like a real city. But the real reason this has aged like fine wine is Heath Ledger's Joker. The Joker's philosophy of introducing a little anarchy and proving that everyone is as corrupt as he is feels deeply uncomfortable in our modern polarized world. It explores the breakdown of social order and the thin line between a hero and a villain. It's a dense, complex, and flawlessly executed film that hasn't been matched in the genre since. These 10 films remind us that great cinema isn't about having the newest technology or following the latest trends. It's about having a vision that is true to the human experience. Whether they were hits or flops when they first arrived, these movies were built to last. What movie do you think has aged the best? Is there a film from the last few years that you think will be on this list in 20 years? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next breakdown. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.